Everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne. Here at my channel, we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of some of our favorite shows. It's Tuesday night, so of course that means it's Kings of Napa night, okay? So we are still, of course, in season 1. Tonight was episode 4. I believe it was titled Dear Wine People. Okay, before we get started, please click the thumbs up, hit the like button, y'all. Please support a girl, right? It's Black History Month. Like, what's up? Hit the subscribe button, okay? Nothing wrong with subscribing, nothing wrong. Comment, share. I love getting the comments. Anyway, I just appreciate everyone's love and support here. All right, so let's get into this review because I got to go to bed and go to work in the morning, y'all. So let's do it. Okay, so we're going to try to go in order, but you know, sometimes we get out of order. Y'all know how I do. This episode was a little crazy to me. It had my head spinning. It was like so many twists and turns, doing the most. So let's get into it. So they do like a flashback scene. I think it's like from a few years ago. And Dana is going on a job interview. And basically the men are like, oh yeah, he has this going on for himself. He went to Harvard, plus he's black. So, you know, let's go on and give him an offer so we don't have to battle any other company for his business. I'm gonna fix this a slight bit. So then they see him come in and their expressions change. And it's kind of assumed that they change their minds about him basically because he's a little person. So then next scene, we see Dana and Auntie Melanie out for having lunch. Dana orders some kind of weird sandwich. I don't know what all was on that sandwich. And she's like, oh, your metabolism is crazy. And so she's like, you know, I understand what it's like to be the black sheep of the family and not have respect or be misunderstood and all this stuff. And Dana's like, you know, talking trash about the family. And she's like, oh, I know how to get, you know, the family to respect and like you the way you should. And he's like, what do you have in mind, Auntie? And so then basically she has this opportunity for him to be featured in a magazine. I believe it's for like black businessmen or CFOs or CEOs or something like that, and presenting black excellence. I cannot remember the name of the magazine. If you guys remember, please put it in the comment because I do not remember. So anyway, next scene we see the family is all at the house having lunch. It's Vanessa, August, Auntie Yvette, Rose, Christian, and I believe the lady who helped make the wine was there too, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, they're trying to come up with cool names for August's new dessert wine that she came up with. So Christian is like, you know, let's name it after a baddie like Black China, Cardi B, or a stripper in Atlanta, because then, you know, you're gonna get the ballers buying it. So they just laughed at him. Vanessa was like, I don't want the wine in a red solo cup. Like, you know, they're not about that life. So anyway, you know, they classy based at the Kings of Napa, okay? So then Auntie Yvette said, let's call it the late night. And Vanessa was like, what is this, a late night talk show? And she was like, girl, stick to selling wigs. And then she was like, I still do work for this company. And Vanessa just, you know, Vanessa be reading people down. I love it. So anyway, then Dana come bopping through like, ooh. Guess what? Auntie Melanie hooked me up with this cover featuring black CFOs, and they want some black excellence, and I am that personified. And then, of course, Vanessa's like, I don't want you hanging tough with Melanie like that. Like, you can't be trusting her. And he was like, well, I have to trust her instead of my own family with a bunch of Judas's. And he emphasized that ass in Judas. And so then he was like skipping out, and Christian was like, before he skipped out, Christian was like, oh, that's what's up, man. They not be your hype, man. And so then he was like, nah, I don't need you. And he was like telling them, y'all need to be gone because I'm about to do this photo shoot and interview and all this stuff. And so Dana was getting on my nerves most of this episode, but he did come through at the end. But he's just so petty. He's just so petty. So petty and bitter for no reason. Like, the family like you. Like, nobody's tripping. Like, you tripping. So anyway, he skip on out the room, child. And so then we see him at the office, I believe. I think first we saw Bridget at Sean and Sean, because remember, y'all, she got the job because Vanessa kicked her right on out the family business. She said, you're not coming back to the house. You're not getting your job back. It's over. So anyway, they're they're giving her a tour of the winery, and she's like looking at their leaves and stuff, and she's like, oh, y'all need to, cut some of these dead leaves. Y'all need to tend to the vines. And so then they were like, oh, we got groundspeople to do that, girl, don't trip. And so then she was like, oh, I like getting my hands dirty. Like, I got this. And they were like, don't worry, like, our vineyard's good. And so then, like, you could tell they were going through something. And so she's like, is everything okay? And they're like, oh, just take a tour and we'll, meet back up with you. So then we see Dana down to his office. He all engrossed in his work and his iPad or tablet. So then Rose comes in with a treat for him, a little latte, a little dessert. She's also proud of you, baby. I'm trying to learn her accent. I got to practice before I do it on here with y'all, though. But maybe by the season finale, I will have it. Okay, so then she's trying to do something nice for her man, of course, because you know how Rose do. And then he's just being real rude and petty to her and mean. And he's like, oh, can I test it? This might not be good. Like, you think she's going to poison you? Like, come on. And then she's like, oh, I'm proud of you. And, she's trying to, propose to do a little something sexual for him later. She's like, I can give you a little treat later. And he's like, no, I'm working. And, my back hurt your knife that stabbed me. And he's just being real dramatic based. And so then she's like, I had to, support the family business, like, I had to support the brand. And he's like, I supported you on all your things and all your ideas, even when you wanted to spend a bunch of money to do this and that with the company. And I supported you, even though the family didn't. And so he's still being mean and petty to her. So she left. And August came in. And August is like, oh, hey, the family that we thought could be the ones extorting Dad, they moved to Austin, so it's not them. And she's trying to talk to Dana about everything. And he kind of gives her cold shoulders, like, leave me alone. I'm trying to get this budget together for this high old wine that you got us trying to make now. Like, he over it. Like, just let him do this job. So he's also being mean and petty still with everybody. So then, fast forward, we see, at some point before I forget, Otis. We gonna get all up into Otis too. Otis, when the family was at having the lunch outside right before Dana came in, they flashed and showed Otis. Like, he came in and popped in and looked at everybody, but he didn't say anything and they didn't say anything to him, and he popped away. Like, they flashed him on the screen for a minute. I didn't notice it the first time I watched the episode, but then the second time I did, I was like, oh, okay, that was interesting how he just kind of popped in and popped out, right? So then, at some point we see Christian frolicking down in the vineyards with a girl. I'm like, they don't want you doing all this over the grapes, sir. Like, what are you doing? And then, he all over her, giving her a grape off the vine. I was like, he wasted product. But, and then Otis talks some mess to him about, how Otis is giving him a hard time all the time. And she's like, I don't like the way he talked to you. So then, I believe we go on, we see Dana having his photo shoot, and the mom was like, oh, you're doing such a good job, and why don't you, try on this other jacket like you? And he's like, Mom, but these pants so tacky. And then Auntie Melanie came and was like, you should try another jacket. You look so regal in it. And he's like, you're right, Auntie Melanie. You got good eye, good taste. So, he's just making his mom feel so bad for saying, for it coming out that she was going to abort him. And so then we see Rose and Bridget talking. Not Bridget, I'm sorry. August talking. August like, thank you for voting for me and your support. I know that couldn't be hard, like, because of Dana and the way he is. And she was like, yeah, he even locked me out the bedroom. I'm like, Dana, how dare you lock Rose out the bedroom? Like, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you? I don't know how Rose put up with it, child. I don't know. But, she is in a cool rich family, so I don't know, maybe it's worth it. So anyway, she was like, yeah, and then August like, yeah, he was being rude to me too, girl. She was like, yeah, we need to get this together. And she's like, maybe we could figure out a way to bring Dana in more with the marketing and stuff, so he feels more a part of all of this planning of the new dessert wine. She was like, Rose like, girl, yeah, we gotta do something soon because this Rose garden needed to get tended to. Okay, Rose got needs. Okay, don't be over here playing Dana with her. Okay, so then, Dana's just living it up, doing all his poses at the photo shoot. Okay, he was doing the most of that photo shoot. So then Bridget comes. So before that, when Bridget was at her new job at the new winery at the Sean and Sean, they were saying like, oh, they tried to cover it up at first. They're like, oh, we're just having coyote and deer issues, and she's like, oh, why don't you use whoop-de-whoop, like whatever they use for that to repel those animals. And they were like, oh yeah, da da da. And they were like, you know, we ain't got time to be lying to you. Basically, we're getting extorted. And so she's like, you're getting extorted too? And so then she comes to the house with her family. And she goes up to August and Vanessa and basically tells Vanessa, like, you know, and Vanessa's like, what are you doing here? Like, I told you not to come back to this house. And Vanessa's like, oh, so you don't want to know about, you know, how you're being extorted. And so is Sean and Sean. And so Vanessa, of course, is like, what? Because, you know, they tried to hide it from her, August and Dana. And so Dana wasn't trying to deal with that because he's like, oh, the lighting's good for my pictures. And August is like, we're not caring about this light. Like, come on. And so then basically they're like trying to run after their mom, like, oh, mom, we're sorry to tell you. And so basically they had to tell their mom about the extortionist. So then she was super mad and she stormed off and was like, I'll talk to you when I want to talk to you. So she left. Then she came back and they told their mom everything about how they lied about that stupid scholarship lie, which I said was the waste of a lie. And she's like, you guys keep having these secrets from me. And they said how Bridget had the gun. And then Christian was like, man, why y'all didn't tell me? Y'all basically just had me babysit mom and Auntie Yvette. And they're like, that's what we wanted. That's what we needed you to do. It's time. Like, that was your job, Christian. I'm sorry. That was your role. So then we've seen... So then the mom's like, you know, I don't want to hear no more secrets, no more lies, none of that. And so then I was like, you know what's good, Mom? Bridget tried to come tell you. So I think I was trying to smooth it over for Bridget. The thing is, I find kind of weird is like August treats, and Dana, they treat the mom, and Christian, they treat the mom like she's super fragile. Like, I know she's dealing with a lot. Her husband just died. Then she finds out all these bombshells about her sister sleeping with her husband, had a baby, you know, so many layers of things keep happening, secrets are coming out, skeletons coming out the closet. So I get it, but they treat their mom like she can't handle nothing, like she about to just explode or go over the edge or something. Like, she's not that fragile. Like, come on. I'm just like, y'all doing the most. Like, they making Vanessa sound like she's just not a strong black woman. Like, come on. Yeah, she be going through it, but she gets it together. Like, sheesh. So then Quincy, I believe, came in and he said that Otis had purchased a $80,000 boat. And so they're like, yeah, this is not looking good. Like, you know, how could he got that money? So then Christian's like, oh, no, I mean, you know, Otis be rude to me. I don't think it was him. Like, maybe he got the money from like a rich family member settlement or something, like Auntie Melanie got her money. And so Dana's like, we need to call the police. Bridget's like, no, we need to keep quiet and do more investigating. And Vanessa's like, no, we're not keeping quiet on stuff anymore. No. And so then, the wine club was there that the mom was hosting, because, you know, she had to host all the wine tours in the wine clubs. I guess that's her main job right now. And so then we see August go home. She crying like, dang, Dad, you had all these secrets. Like, what is going on? And so then we see her call Kelvin. I thought his name was Calvin last week, but I guess his name is Kelvin. Anyway, I know a Kelvin too. So she calls Kelvin, I guess, for looking for some, you know, some emotional support. And he was on his business line, and she called him his personal line. So he was like, oh, I'm busy, let me call you back. So then she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Y'all know how we do sometimes. And so then she was like feeling unsure about the situation with Kelvin. So she goes on his social media. Then she goes on his ex-wife's social media, sees that she's still wearing the ring. Of course, we know Kelvin's still wearing his ring. So of course, in her mind, she's trying to put two and two together. Like, you know, are they really through? Because they both wearing their ring. What's up with that? Maybe it's a big deal, maybe it's not. So then we see her walking. It looks like her, August, Bridget, and her friend Maggie, I think it was, had went to like shopping and stuff, and they're talking, and she's talking about the whole Calvin thing, and Bridget's like, maybe he's not ready to go, because basically I was saying he just basically be hugging me, girl. He ain't doing nothing. And Bridget gave good advice of like maybe he's not ready to go all the way there yet because of the past and all this stuff. And so then, but you can tell Bridget still got attitude. I was surprised she even hanging out with August. That was kind of weird to me that they even were hanging out because I know they have their beef, And so because August basically had to say, hey, you can't come back to the job right now. Then she did it because of her mom, which was understandable. So then we see, I believe the family is now the whole family. Oh, before I forget, during Dana's initial photo shoot, they were like, oh, why don't we mix it up and have your wife come in, do a power couple shoot, or even your mom too. And so then he was like, no, how about Auntie Melody? She was a she's, traveling doctor and all this stuff she's done. And we don't want just a random housewife to promote to the young people. And so, of course, he's just steady trying to hurt the mom, calling her a random housewife. I was like, that's rude. Because Vanessa had her own career before Reggie. Remember, she told him wine testers that a couple weeks ago. So anyway, so then fast forward to the family interview. So they're all sitting on the sofa. And they're like, oh, the interview lady's like, oh, how was it growing up with Dana? And talking to the mom, it was like, oh, yeah, Dana always had a good head on his shoulders. So it's good the other two, had him as a good foundation. And August was like, oh, yeah, I learned a lot from him. And Christian's like, oh, yeah, we have weekly pickup games and, but always win. And, so they start kind of bantering. And Auntie Yvette is like, keep it cute, y'all, because we doing this interview. And, before they all came in to sit down and do the interview, they're doing photos outside, and you see Auntie Melanie and Dana doing photos together because that's what he wanted, because he's still hating on the mama for almost aborting him. And so then we see her outside just sweating. So I'm not sure if it's the sun, if she got a medical problem, is she pregnant, is she the one taking some drugs or something, but we're going to get to that. So I don't know. I don't know why she's outside sweating. So then when they came in the house to interview, she's still patting sweat. So then, the interview gets a little crazy. They start kind of arguing. So then the lady was like, let me step outside. But she left the camera recording. So then they start talking about the extortionists and all the drama and everything they have going on and kind of arguing. So then the lady comes back in and was like, you know what, that's enough. I think we got enough. And they noticed that she clicked it to turn it off. So then they all jump up like, hey, was the camera running the whole time? And so then she was like, oh yeah, we got everything we need. We're good. And then they were like, oh, we're gonna need that last 5 minutes of that tape back. And she's like, oh, this is the property of my company. And they were like, no, you need to give us the tape. So Vanessa, she don't play. She was like, did you hear me? This is not a request. You got cotton in your ears. Give us the tape. And even August was like getting all buff with it, like, give us the tape. So then she sashayed out of there. I was like, why didn't nobody grab her then? I mean, they had to fight her then, but one of the women could have snatched that out of her hand real easy. But anyway, but they classy. They're not gonna do nothing physical. So, so then she left, and they're like, then they really start arguing, like, man, everybody gonna know our business. Like, it's, blaming each other and all that. So then they bring in Sean and Sean to tell them, like, hey, we know you're getting extorted too. We're also getting extorted. How about you guys not pay? Because I guess they had a payment coming up, and they're like, don't pay it and see what happens, because Otis could just harm our vineyards anytime. So basically they're kind of trying to set him up. But my thing was, if I was Sean and Sean, I'd be like, okay, y'all do the setup, because what if it don't go well for them? I kind of was wondering why they were so trusting of the Kings. But maybe I'm not fully understanding the plan, but I just kind of was like, if I was them, I'd be like, no, y'all be the ones not to pay on time and see what happened, because no. But they went along with the plan. So then we see, I believe Bridget told, I don't know if it was Quincy or Bridget or what have you, but basically comes to find out Otis got like $50,000 in his bank account that did not come from his paychecks from the King Winery. Okay, so then I think Dana got the text, and so he comes in there talking to he comes in there talking to Bridget in August, I believe, and tells them. Oh, before I get there, I do want to talk about the part where two things I don't want to forget to talk about before we get towards the end. One thing was after all the arguing after the interview, and we see Vanessa goes to deal with the wine club, and they're doing like a paint and sip kind of thing. And then Melanie comes to talk to Vanessa, and she's like, "Oh, you know, it was hard. Always living in your shadow. You're right. I always wanted everything you had. I always looked up to you. I did always. So it was the chubby little sister. That's all I was known for. So I did, you know, want the things you had." And so then Vanessa was like, "You need to tell me right now, whatever secret you have, you need to tell me everything going on right now." So then she was like she was like a real distraught in her face after that. And I was like, "Girl, what else? Because I know you got something else." So then she was like, "Okay, like, you know, me and Reggie would talk every week, mostly just about Bridget, but this extortion thing is serious. Like, you need to take it seriously. Like, it was so bad that he was planning to take the family and you guys run away somewhere, like, to another country in the middle of the night to, like, get away from all this. He had passports and money and everything ready for y'all." And so then she's like, "Girl, what?" She's like, "Yeah, did you check his cigar boxes?" So again, Melanie got all the secrets that Vanessa don't. So of course that makes Vanessa pissed even more. So then she runs into the office, and August is there at the desk like, "Mom, what you doing?" And she's scrambling, looking through all the cigar boxes, and then she finds it. And there's all these passports and money, but the passports got their pictures but fake names on them. So she's like, "Oh my gosh, like what is going on here?" So Vanessa takes it upon herself to get like top-notch security all over the house and everything and gets that squared away. And so then she talks to the family about, "Okay, we got this going on security, we got it popping." So then Christian's like, "Man, maybe we should lay low for a while till everything blows over." And Vanessa's like, "You know, I'm a mama tiger. She protected her family." That's like, y'all need to give Vanessa more credit. Vanessa got this, let her in. And so I think they're just so worried about protecting their mom's emotional state, and they're just kind of overkill, in my opinion. I think she can handle more than they give her credit for. That's just my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. So then then the lady who was doing the interview, I almost forgot that part. That part was good too. So the lady who was doing the interview came storming in, and she was like, "Oh, how dare you call, you know, the board of the company on me, and they wanting me to want me to edit my story and destroy the tape as if I'm the one who messed up everything, but you guys are the one who let everything out on tape, and what is going on here?" And Vanessa was like, "Yes, we did, and you see the way you came through that door, that's the way you're going to go back out that door." So Vanessa ran her down once again. And so she stormed out. So basically Vanessa called in a favor and got the story like destroyed, basically. Because remember, she used to be in journalism, so that's probably why she has those connections. So then Dana was like, "Wait, Mom, you called them on my behalf. You called for me? Like what?" And so then he looked back at Rose like, "Did you have something to do with this?" And she was like, "No." So he can't believe his mom basically went to bat for him. And so, which I'm shocked. Like, did the family really treat you that bad, Dana? Like, dang, give them some credit where the credit is due. So she's like, "Of course, Dana, like, of course I'm gonna do that for you." And so then she was like, "Sit down." And she told him, like, you know, your Auntie Yvette was told the truth. "I did want to abort you. We did want to abort you when we saw you we saw your little body on the sonogram. I didn't want to have you deal with basically facing the world with limitations or disabilities." She was worried about that. So when he was a baby and she saw him in the sonogram, they could see that he was going to be born with some defects and be a little person. And so she didn't want him to have to deal with those stigmas and things. So that's why she thought about aborting him. And so she's like, "But, you know, made the decision to go ahead and have you." Basically, she didn't want him to be limited in life and have a hard life. But, you know, they decided to have him, and he's the greatest thing. And he was saying like, "Oh, you know, Dad, you didn't tell the company we saw him interview for, you didn't tell them I was a little person because you didn't want me to get the job. You wanted me to be stuck here working for the family." She was like, "No, actually, your dad is the one who told them not to hire you because he wanted you more working with family. He knew we needed your brain here. And so he was like, damn, why didn't Dad tell me that? She was like, your daddy had too many secrets. We don't know why he was doing half the things he's doing. You see, he got a mess here. Like, she didn't say it like that, but basically that's what she meant. So then they had a good, like, his face lit up. Like, he's a good actor too. His face lit up after his mom told him everything, and he hugged her like so enthusiastically. I was like, oh, Dana needed that. I think he's still gonna be bitter though and petty, but I mean, at least that softened his little heart a little bit, right? So then, so like I said, they had their heart to heart. So then you see, I think Dana was in the office, and then he got the text that Otis had more money in the bank, was not coming from the paychecks. He had like 50,000. So they're like, that's not making sense. And so, also, what's his name? Christian, he kept calling and trying to get information from Bridget on how to tend to the vines, okay? Because that's an important fact too. I don't want to forget. And so Bridget was never answering his calls, and then Bridget finally was like, okay, let me like come school you on how to tend to the vineyard, and she had to take her notes. She went to go show him how everything works. So anyway, towards the end, basically Dana gets the message. Quincy lets him, I don't know if it was Quincy or Bridget. I got kind of confused on that, but I believe it was Bridget who kind of Bridget let them know that what Otis did to Sean and Sean. I believe that's how it happened. But Quincy let them know that he got $50,000 in the bank that's not coming from his paychecks, just for working in the vineyard, right? So then Dana's basically like, no, I'm calling the cops. And because, Bridget's saying she didn't want to call the cops on the black man, and she's still feeling like it wasn't Otis. But Dana's like, no, we got to take action. Like, he can do something. So Dana called the cops. So then basically we see the cops are there, and they say, Otis, whatever his last name is, like, you're under arrest. You need to be, stand there. So then he dropped wherever he had and jumped in the van and took off. So, of course, he looks guilty because he's running off. And so then he crashed into something, and he ended up in the hospital. And so, so basically it's looking like it was Otis, but it looks like something else is there too, or somebody else could be involved. I don't know. So then basically Otis is in the hospital. I don't think he was conscious yet or something. I don't know. Anyway, Dana and August have a heart to heart, and August thanks Dana for making the moves he did, because August wasn't trying to make that move. And they basically figure out they could try to be more partners and all that. So they had a good brother sister heart to heart. Vanessa Rose is like, my husband is a hero today. Vanessa's like, yes, Dana, thank you for saving the family. So Dana got his shine and all that he been wanting all in the end. Dana also has some dirt on August, I believe. I hope he does not drop that dirt on that girl, because it's like, okay, everybody in the family loves and respects you, Dana. Like, nobody's tripping but you. But anyway, we will see, right? So let's get to the very final scene, because this was very important. So then we see that Christian finally comes dressed appropriate to work in the vineyard, like Bridget was trying to tell him, instead of trying to come in all his Balenciaga, whatever it was called, and his Gucci down and all that. And so finally he came ready to work. When you're going to go work in, outside area, painting, housework, whatever, you gotta come in your work clothes, Christian. You gotta come appropriate in your work clothes, okay? Excuse me. So then they're like, where your little cheat sheet you be having? He's like, oh, thank you for reminding me. So I think he carried her on his iPad so he can know what he's supposed to be doing and looking for in the vineyards. And so then he went back to get it, but the cleaning crew had already cleaned. So then he's like looking around, and he looked in the backpack on a chair, and he's like, oh, Bridget must have packed my iPad away from me or whatever. So he's looking through, I'm assuming it was Bridget's backpack he was looking through. So he's pulling stuff out, then he pulls out this white bag. I couldn't understand the name of the product he said, but basically I'm assuming it's a type of drug. It looks like some kind of drugs. And he's like, why would Bridget have this? So it's looking like now there's drugs involved in this family. Like I said, this episode was doing the most with all the turns. I felt like Otis was guilty from like episode 2. I felt like Otis was the one extorting the money. But we shall see what happens. I'm sure more things are going to continue to unfold on the next episode. You guys, please let me know in the comments what you thought of tonight's episode. Like I said, I thought it was crazy with twists and turns. I feel like we're getting somewhere, figuring out who's extorting the money and everything like that. I feel like Melanie got some more secrets. I need to know why she was sweating like that. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think. I'm going to get out of here. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all soon. Bye.